Chapter 1. The enemy within. You wake up every morning already at war. The enemy doesn't wear armor or draw steel. It hides inside your own mind. It whispers that you'll start tomorrow. It tells you that you deserve a break, that 1 hour of distraction won't matter. You pick up your phone before you even stand up, and the first battle of the day is already lost. Your focus slips away quietly, your strength leaks drop by drop, and by nightfall you wonder why you feel restless and weak despite doing so much. The truth is simple but hard to face. You are not living with control. You are being controlled. The modern world has trained you to react instead of act, to consume instead of create, to move endlessly without direction. You chase stimulation but starve for discipline. You tell yourself that stress, exhaustion, and failure are normal, yet deep inside, you know you are capable of more. But you cannot find the stillness to access it. Musashi once said, "If you wish to control everything, first control yourself." These words are not poetry. They are a warning. Without self-control, you will spend your life building castles in sand strong one moment, destroyed the next. With self-control, even your smallest effort can shape destiny. What you are about to learn is not motivation. It is not a collection of clever tricks to trick your brain. It is a path that leads from chaos to calm, from impulse to mastery. The secret Musashi discovered is that every warrior fights two enemies, the one in front of him and the one within. The first can wound your body, but the second can destroy your purpose. Most men live their entire lives serving that inner enemy. But a disciplined few, learn to master it, and they become unstoppable. If you have ever felt that your potential is slipping through your fingers, that you could be more focused, more powerful, more disciplined, stay with me until the end. Because what you'll learn here can reshape how you live, how you work, and how you think. Subscribe if you want to walk this path with us, not for entertainment, but for transformation. This is training for your mind, your spirit, and your purpose. Each lesson that follows has the power to strengthen you in a way the modern world cannot. So breathe deeply, stay present, and listen carefully. For those who are ready, the way of Musashi begins now. Chapter 2. The Old Master in the Mountains. In the mist-covered mountains of Kyushu, long after his legendary duels, Musashi lived in quiet isolation. His hair had turned white, his body scarred from decades of battle, yet his presence carried the calm power of a sharpened blade. Villagers rarely saw him. Some said he had gone mad. Others whispered that he had transcended human strength. But Musashi cared for neither rumor nor praise. He had already learned that the world's noise was the greatest distraction of all. Each morning he would rise before the sun, meditate before a small fire, and train with wooden swords until his breath became mist in the cold air. His movements were slow, deliberate, unshaken. The path of mastery had long ceased to be about combat. It had become about control. He sought not to conquer others, but to conquer himself completely. One day, as the cherry blossoms began to fall, a young man named Haru climbed the winding path to Musashi's dwelling. His robes were dusty, his sword gleaming but unused. Haru had heard tales of the great master, the undefeated swordsman who once faced armies and emerged unscathed. He believed that if he could learn Musashi's secret, he too could rise above fear, failure, and uncertainty. When he reached the top, he found Musashi sitting beside a still pond, carving a wooden staff. "Master Musashi," Haru said, bowing deeply, "I have come from far away to learn the art of control. I wish to be unshakable like you." Musashi did not look up immediately. He placed the knife down, brushed the wood shavings aside, and said calmly, "Control? You speak as though it were a sword one could purchase." Haru hesitated. "Then tell me how to forge it." Musashi finally turned, his gaze steady and unreadable. "You do not forge control, you uncover it. It already exists, buried beneath your impulses and fears. But to reach it, you must lose everything that weakens your spirit. Are you willing to be stripped of comfort, pride, and ease?" Haru nodded eagerly. "Yes, master. I will do anything." Chapter 3. The Restless Apprentice. The first week on the mountain felt like eternity. Musashi gave Haru no sword to train with, no drills to perform, no lectures about technique. Each morning he was ordered to sweep the grounds, fetch water from the stream, and sit in silence for hours beside the pond. The tasks were so simple that they infuriated him. He had imagined fierce combat training, not meaningless chores. At first, Haru performed them with fake obedience, his mind filled with frustration. Each motion was mechanical, empty. The silence began to press on him like weight. His thoughts screamed for stimulation. Why am I wasting my time? He thought. When will the real lessons begin? Musashi watched all this quietly, saying nothing. He understood that Haru was not yet fighting the right battle. The young man's sword was sharp, but his mind was dull, fractured by restlessness and ego. One morning, as Haru chopped wood, he slammed the axe down too hard and split the handle. His anger exploded. "Enough!" he shouted. "You mock me with these meaningless tasks. I came to learn mastery, not to live like a servant." Musashi, sitting nearby, looked up calmly. "Then show me your mastery," Haru froze. "What?" "Show me," Musashi said, standing and walking to the open clearing. "You say you are ready for true training. Very well. Draw your sword." Haru hesitated, realizing too late that his temper had set a trap for him. But pride forced him forward. He drew his blade, shouting as he rushed toward the old man. His movement was strong, but uncentered. In the blink of an eye, Musashi stepped aside, raised a bamboo stick, and tapped Haru on the wrist. The sword flew from his hand and landed in the dirt. The young warrior fell to his knees, stunned by how easily he'd been defeated. His heart pounded, not from fear but humiliation. Musashi stood over him, eyes calm as ever. "You cannot hold your sword steady because you cannot hold your mind steady," Musashi said. "You want to control your surroundings when you cannot even control your own anger. Until you master yourself, every victory will turn to dust." Haru clenched his fists, eyes burning with shame. "Then teach me, master." "Teach me how to control myself." Musashi nodded slowly. "Very well. But understand, this control is not learned in comfort. You will suffer, you will fail. And if your spirit breaks, no one will rebuild it for you." Haru bowed deeply, his pride shattered but his resolve beginning to harden. That moment of defeat became the beginning of his true apprenticeship. The lesson of humiliation. The following morning, Musashi woke Haru before dawn. The air was still black with night, the moon fading behind the mountains. "Today," he said, "you will learn your first lesson in control, how to master your breath before your blade." Haru followed silently as they descended to the riverbank. The cold mist bit his skin. Musashi instructed him to kneel by the water. "Close your eyes," the master said, "and breathe until you can no longer tell where the breath ends and the river begins." Hours passed. The sounds of running water, birds, and distant wind blended together. Haru's knees ached, his shoulders tensed, his thoughts drifted and scattered. Each time he tried to focus, new distractions arose: doubt, hunger, impatience. Chapter 4. The 11 Teachings of Self-Control. Days turned into weeks, and Haru's arrogance began to melt away. He spoke less, listened more, and learned to move in silence. He was no longer obsessed with technique, but with stillness. One morning, after meditation, Musashi finally said, "You have learned to breathe. Now you must learn to rule yourself completely." There are 11 teachings that form the spine of self-control. They are not tricks. They are not lessons of the sword. They are laws of the mind. If you live by them, your spirit will no longer waver. Haru nodded, his hands folded before him. "I am ready, master." Musashi closed his eyes for a moment, then began. 1. Master your breath before your blade. "The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind," Musashi said. "In battle, those who pant in fear die first, not because they are weaker, but because they cannot command their own bodies. The man who controls his breath can face death with composure." He gestured toward the mountains. "The same is true in life. When anger, panic, or temptation rise, your first weapon is your breath. Do not react. Do not speak. Breathe once, twice, and feel the impulse dissolve." Haru nodded slowly. He could see how easily he had once been ruled by every emotion, every external noise. Modern science would later confirm Musashi's truth. Controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering heart rate, restoring clarity, and literally strengthening neural control over emotion. What Musashi intuited centuries ago, neuroscience now calls self-regulation. 2. Detach from emotion. The second teaching, Musashi continued, is to feel deeply but act deliberately. Emotion is energy. It can drive you, but it can also destroy you. A warrior feels fear, sadness, anger, but he does not obey them. To obey emotion is to surrender the throne of your mind. Haru frowned. But master, is it not emotion that gives life meaning? Musashi nodded. Yes, but the man who serves emotion is its slave. The man who commands it is its king. You must let emotion pass through you, like rain through bamboo, never clinging, never soaking in. When your mind remains still amid storms, no insult or fear can move you. Haru remembered his duel, the fury that blinded him, the humiliation that followed, and finally understood why he had lost so easily. 3. Do nothing that is of no use. Later that day, Musashi pointed toward Haru's half-finished chores. Why do you leave these tasks incomplete? I grow impatient, master, Haru said. They seem trivial. Triviality, Musashi replied, is the root of weakness. Every useless thought, every wasted action drains your spirit. The man who wastes hours cannot complain when his life feels empty. He turned to the river again. Do nothing that is of no use. If an action does not serve your purpose, it steals from it. Simplicity is not poverty, it is precision. In today's world, this is perhaps Musashi's most vital teaching. Endless scrolling, half-commitments, multitasking, all fragments of wasted motion. A neuroscientist at Stanford found that constant switching between tasks lowers productivity by nearly 40% and fractures the brain's ability to focus. Musashi understood this centuries ago when he demanded stillness over busyness. 4. Train when you don't feel like it. One morning, rain poured from the sky, cold and merciless. Haru hesitated to step outside. Musashi appeared beside him, holding 2 wooden swords. We train, he said simply. But master, the storm, Musashi interrupted, is the teacher. They trained until their robes clung to their skin, until mud splashed beneath their feet. Every swing felt heavier, every breath sharper. When Haru could barely lift his arms, Musashi said, Now you begin to understand discipline. The body learns nothing from comfort. Only repetition without emotion strengthens it. The man who trains only when he feels ready will never be ready. A researcher at Cambridge once found that elite performers, athletes, artists, soldiers train most consistently on their worst days, not their best. It is not talent that separates them, but endurance. Musashi's voice cut through the rain. When the storm ends, the lazy man dries his clothes. The disciplined man sharpens his sword. 5. Be unmoved by praise or blame. As Haru's skill grew, other apprentices from nearby villages came to see the mysterious old master and his student. They praised Haru's calmness, his precision, his progress. He began to feel pride again. Musashi noticed. Do you enjoy their words? He asked one evening. Are you hesitated? Yes, master. Their respect feels good. Musashi's gaze hardened. Then you have given them power. The man who needs praise will fear criticism. To be unmoved by both is true freedom. He poured tea, his movements slow and deliberate. When others call you great, do not let it swell you. When they call you a fool, do not let it wound you. Both are the same trap attachment. The warrior acts from principle, not approval. Haru lowered his head, realizing how easily his spirit still bent toward validation. 6. Control begins with awareness. Every act of control begins with seeing, Musashi said one afternoon as they meditated near the fire. Before you can master impulse, you must first observe it. Most men are ruled by their habits because they do not even notice them. They act, regret, and repeat. He placed his palm over his heart. Each time you feel anger, lust, fear, or greed, pause, observe it, name it. In that moment of awareness, you become its master instead of its victim. Modern psychologists echo this principle. Awareness activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for rational control. The instant you label an impulse, you shift from reaction to regulation. Musashi closed his eyes. The first victory is seeing the enemy within. 7. The mind must govern the body. The following week, Musashi found Haru training late at night, his movements erratic with fatigue. You are pushing your body, Musashi said, but your mind is lost. I thought persistence was the key to mastery, Haru said, panting. Musashi shook his head. Persistence without purpose is madness. The body must obey the mind, not the other way around. Strength is nothing if it lacks direction. He demonstrated a single swing of the sword, slow, measured, effortless. Control your movement through understanding, not brute force. Let the body be your tool, not your master. The man who listens to exhaustion instead of discipline loses both. 8. Move slowly. Strike decisively. Speed, Musashi said, is born from timing, not haste. The undisciplined man rushes. The master waits. He placed a small leaf on the surface of the river. Watch it. The leaf drifted, spinning in circles before finding the flow of the current. Do you see? Control is not tension, it is harmony with time. Move slowly, observe. Then, when the moment comes, strike once with full commitment. Haru realized how often he had rushed through his life, his training, his relationships, his goal-seeking results instead of mastery. Patience was the ultimate weapon because it granted precision. 9. Be the observer of your own thoughts. Detach from your mind as though it belongs to another, Musashi said. Observe every thought as if watching clouds pass. Do not judge them, see them, Haru frowned. How can I control what I can't stop thinking? You cannot stop thoughts, Musashi said. You can only stop believing them. That lesson pierced deeper than any sword strike. It was the teaching of meta-awareness, the ability to watch one's own mind without being trapped in it. Today, neuroscientists refer to this as mindfulness, which decreases amygdala activity, the brain's center of fear, and increases executive control. In Musashi's time, it was simply called presence. 10. Live as though you are already dead. The warrior who fears death, Musashi said softly, dies twice, once in fear and once in flesh. But the man who accepts death lives freely. He no longer clings to safety, comfort, or approval. When you live as though already dead, hesitation dies with you. Haru was silent for a long time. That seems dark, master. Musashi smiled faintly. It is not darkness, it is clarity. Death reminds you to act fully, to waste nothing. The man who fears loss never dares to live. The man who accepts loss gains everything. Freedom from fear, modern psychologists have found, is the foundation of resilience. When you accept what you cannot control, your mind becomes unshakable. 11. Walk alone. Finally, Musashi stood and looked out toward the valley. The last lesson is the hardest, he said. Walk alone. The crowd will always seduce you to belong, to blend, to obey. But true control requires solitude. You must learn to stand by your own code even when no one watches, even when no one agrees. He turned to Haru, his eyes sharp as ever. When you depend on others to validate your path, you surrender control of your soul. Solitude is not loneliness, it is the forge where conviction is tempered. Haru bowed deeply. I understand, master. To walk alone is to be truly free, Musashi nodded once. When you no longer fear solitude, you have mastered yourself. Chapter 5. The Day of Stillness. Weeks passed. Haru continued to train in silence, rising before dawn, meditating until his breath merged with the wind. One evening, Musashi found him sitting beside the river, eyes closed, unmoving. A leaf fell from the tree above and landed on the water. Haru did not flinch. His breath was steady, his presence complete. Musashi stood for a long while, saying nothing. At last, he whispered, Now you have begun to control the only thing that can be controlled, yourself. The student's training was not finished, but the transformation had begun. Haru had faced not an enemy of flesh, but of mind and won. Chapter 6. The modern battlefield. When Haru descended from the mountain months later, he no longer resembled the restless boy who had arrived. His step was steady, his gaze calm. The sword at his side no longer symbolized violence, it represented presence. Each movement carried intention. The noise within him had quieted, and because of that, the world around him seemed quieter too. He did not need to prove anything. He needed only to remain unmoved. The villagers who saw him whispered about transformation. They said he looked like a man who had glimpsed eternity. Haru would simply smile. I have not found peace, he would say softly. I have found control. And that is where Musashi's greatest truth lies. Self-control is not peace. It is not stillness without effort. It is the strength to choose stillness when chaos surrounds you. Today, the battlefield no longer lies in the open fields of Japan. it lives inside your mind. You do not face samurai or soldiers, but notifications, temptations, stress, and noise. Each one demands your attention. Each one seeks to break your focus. Most men today lose the fight before it begins. They surrender their time to distraction, their purpose to pleasure, their mind to impulses they barely understand. But Musashi's 11 teachings are not relics of the past, they are weapons for the modern age. The same principles that govern the warrior's sword can govern your thoughts, your habits, your reactions. The same stillness that guided his hand can steady your life. In your work, discipline allows you to act deliberately, not react emotionally. In your relationships, awareness keeps you from speaking words that cannot be unsaid. In your health, patience teaches you to build slowly, without obsession or despair. Self-control is the root of all mastery, because without it, no skill endures. Every art, every profession, every path depends first on the mind that directs it. If you can control your attention, you control your destiny. Chapter 7. The Science of Control. Centuries after Musashi's death, science began to reveal what he had intuited through pure experience. A neuroscientist at Kyoto University discovered that people who practice focused breathing and long periods of silence show thicker prefrontal cortices, the region of the brain responsible for decision-making, willpower, and emotional balance. In other words, they physically rewire their brains for discipline. Another study at Stanford showed that people who consistently delay gratification, those who can, resist immediate pleasure for a greater goal, report higher life satisfaction, better health, and stronger relationships. The connection is clear. Self-control is not repression, it is rewiring. It is the brain's evolution toward freedom. Modern psychology now calls this process cognitive control. Musashi simply called it the way. He believed that the warrior's mind could not be broken because it was trained to remain aware through every storm. The body is a tool, he once said, and the mind must be its master. Every deep breath you take when stressed, every moment you choose patience over reaction, every time you delay gratification, you are doing what Musashi did with his sword, training the invisible muscle of the mind. Chapter 8. The 5 Steps to Iron Self-Control. You cannot read about control, you must practice it. If you wish to walk the path that Haru walked, begin with these 5 steps. Simple, but not easy. Each is a test. Each must be repeated daily. Step 1. Observe. Spend a single day watching your impulses. Do not change them, just notice. How often do you check your phone without purpose? How quickly do you react to irritation, to boredom, to stress? Observation is the first act of dominance over your mind. What is seen can be shaped. Step 2. Pause. Before reacting, breathe once. Just one controlled breath before you speak, before you reach for distraction, before you quit. That single breath builds the bridge between impulse and awareness. It is your way of saying, I command myself. Step 3. Direct. Once you've paused, act according to purpose, not emotion. Ask yourself, will this action serve me tomorrow? If not, let it pass. Each deliberate choice strengthens the mind's circuitry of restraint. Step 4. Train. Choose one discipline, any discipline, and practice it daily, even when you don't feel like it. Wake early, meditate, study, train your body. The content doesn't matter. Consistency does. When you do what must be done regardless of mood, you teach your brain that you are not its servant. Step 5. Detach. Perform your duty without attachment to results. The man obsessed with outcomes becomes enslaved by them. True control means doing the work because it is right, not because it rewards you. Detachment transforms effort into freedom. Follow these steps, and you will begin to feel what Musashi described, the quiet confidence of a mind that cannot be shaken. Chapter 9. The Softness of Modern Minds. But now, let us confront a hard truth. You live in an age of abundance, and abundance has made you weak. You have food without hunger, comfort without cost, entertainment without meaning. You demand results quickly, yet you cannot sit in silence for 10 minutes. You start a new skill, quit after boredom strikes, and call it lack of motivation. You chase intensity, not consistency. You want mastery without repetition, progress without patience, wisdom without silence. You believe that you are too special to follow fundamentals, too unique to submit to structure. But that arrogance is the rust that eats your blade. Musashi trained every day of his life, whether in duels, meditation, painting, or carving wood. He found beauty in repetition because repetition purified the soul. You too must fall in love with monotony. Learn to find peace in the predictable. Power is born when you can do the same thing every day with precision and focus. The soft mind complains about difficulty. The warrior mind gives thanks for resistance. The soft mind seeks ease. The warrior mind seeks growth. The soft mind is addicted to approval. The warrior mind obeys only truth. You must decide which mind you will build. You are not too old to change. You are not too busy to train. You are simply too distracted to begin. Turn your attention inward. Control your breath. Quiet your mind. Master yourself. Chapter 10. The Empty Cup. When Haru prepared to leave Musashi's mountain for the last time, the master poured tea for them both. He filled Haru's cup until it overflowed and spilled across the table. The young warrior jumped back, startled. "Master, the cup is full," Musashi smiled faintly. "And so are you. Full of thoughts, opinions, and pride. Until you empty yourself, there is no room for mastery." Haru bowed his head. "And I will remain empty, master." Musashi nodded. "Empty of arrogance, not of spirit. Empty of distraction, not of purpose. When your mind becomes empty of noise, it fills with clarity. That is true control?" The old man looked toward the horizon. "Remember, Haru, the man who conquers 1,000 enemies wins for a day. The man who conquers himself wins for a lifetime." Haru bowed deeply. "I understand now." The sword was never the lesson. Musashi's lips curved into a rare smile. "No, the sword was only the mirror." Chapter 11. The warrior's path. Centuries may separate you from Musashi's world, but his voice still cuts through time. You do not need a sword to be a warrior, you need awareness. You do not need enemies to battle you, already face one every morning in the mirror. If you have listened this far, it means something inside you is ready to stop reacting, ready to stop chasing, ready to stop letting weakness steer your life. The path will not be easy, but it will be real. Start small, train daily. Speak less, listen more. Choose stillness when the world screams for reaction. Your control will not come from sudden inspiration, but from quiet repetition. So I ask you, will you remain a servant of impulse, or will you rise as the master of yourself? The answer is written not in your words, but in your habits. Subscribe to this channel, not for motivation, but for training. Each story, each teaching, is another strike of the hammer shaping your spirit into iron. Remember Musashi's final truth: the way is in training. So train every day and every moment, in every breath, until your actions become deliberate, your emotions become quiet, and your mind becomes unbreakable. The world is chaos, but you can be still, control yourself, and you will need control over nothing else.